I'm really shocked. MHM. Well, you never told me you wanted to go. I know. You. Tell him. You don't tell me. I know. Dr. Phil McGarry built an empire worth hundreds of millions, but in 2023, he suddenly walked away from it all. The official story was that he wanted to focus on family, but insiders whisper about something darker. His wife, Robin, who stood by him through every scandal, every lawsuit, every controversy, was facing her own battle, one that cameras couldn't fix. After 47 years of marriage, the man who fixed everyone else's problems couldn't fix this. The real reason he said goodbye might break your heart. Dr. Phil was born on September 1st, 1950 in Veneta, Oklahoma. His father, Joe McGrath, sold oil field equipment. His mother, Ann Stevens, stayed at home and raised the kids. The town was small, just over 5,000 people, and life there wasn't easy. The oil business ruled everything. If the fields were busy, there was work. If not, there was trouble. Phil grew up in a world where people worked hard, sweated for every dollar, and counted on each other to get by. His parents lived by those rules. His dad spent long hours in the oil fields, and his mom made sure the house stayed in order. They didn't have much, but they had grit. That same grit shaped how Phil looked at the world. From the start, life wasn't about comfort. It was about showing up, pushing through, and making things work. Not long after, the family moved to North Texas, where the oil fields were even rougher. That's where Phil grew up, side by side with his three sisters, Diana, Donna, and Brenda. Their home wasn't just a place to sleep. It was a lesson in survival, teamwork, and loyalty. The oil workers around them lived in danger every day. Heavy machines, long shifts, injuries, and heat. It was part of the deal, but no one complained. They worked, helped each other, and stood tall. Phil watched all of it. He learned what strength looked like, what failure looked like, what real people go through. That early exposure stayed with him. His sisters helped too. Being around them taught him about emotion, patience, and how people clash and connect. It gave him a feel for the messy parts of human nature long before he studied it. By the time he got to college, Phil had a different dream. He wanted to play football. He earned a spot at the University of Tulsa and gave it everything he had. But that dream didn't last. A serious injury knocked him out of the game for good. The details of the injury never made headlines, but it was bad enough to end any hope of going pro. Phil had to let go of the one thing he thought would define him. He transferred to Midwestern State University, unsure of what came next. The switch wasn't just about schools. It was about identity. He was no longer an athlete. He had to start over. That shift taught him something no classroom ever could. How to rebuild when everything breaks. That pain and pivot became a core part of how he later spoke to others. He knew what it felt like to lose direction and claw your way back. During this time, Phil watched his father take an unexpected turn. After years in the oil fields, Joe McGarry made a bold move. He walked away from blue-collar life and decided to become a psychologist. He went back to school. He studied hard and he made it happen. Phil saw every step. It showed him that change wasn't just possible. It was worth it. That moment opened a door in his mind. Psychology wasn't just some theory in a book. It was a tool that could turn a man's whole life around. Watching his father evolve left a deep mark. It planted the idea that maybe he could help people, too. Not just with words, but with action. That realization would push him further than he ever imagined. Phil earned his degree in psychology from Midwestern State University in 1975. But even as a student, he didn't fit the mold. He found the textbooks too slow, the theories too distant. He wanted real answers for real problems. He was already getting restless with the way therapy was taught. While others were diving into complex methods, Phil was looking for results. His approach was raw, practical, and deeply shaped by his own life. Years of watching people fight to survive gave him no patience for sugarcoating. After graduation, he didn't stop. He went straight into more studies, earning a master's and then a Ph.D. in clinical psychology from the University of North Texas by 1979. His dissertation focused on how psychology could help people deal with physical pain. He studied rheumatoid arthritis and explored how the mind could ease the suffering. At the time, that kind of thinking was ahead of the curve. After getting his doctorate, Phil joined his father's practice. On paper, it made sense, but something didn't sit right. The pace was too slow. The changes took too long. He got frustrated. He didn't want to sit quietly and wait for breakthroughs. He wanted to push people, wake them up, make them move. So he left the practice and co-founded something different. A seminar series called Pathways. It wasn't about theory. It was about taking control of your life. That move changed everything. It showed Phil he could reach people on a larger scale. He found his rhythm in front of crowds, talking straight, cutting through fluff. This shift laid the groundwork for everything that came after. It was no longer about office walls. It was about reaching as many people as possible. Phil didn't stop there. He trained in forensic psychology at the Wilmington Institute. It was a new arena full of legal battles, courtrooms, and pressure. He studied jury behavior, witness psychology, and how to influence outcomes in legal settings. That knowledge turned into something powerful. In 1989, he co-founded Courtroom Sciences Incorporated. His job was to help lawyers pick the right juries, shape arguments, and guide witnesses. He was using psychology like a weapon, sharp, smart, and calculated. In 1996, the world took notice when he helped Oprah Winfrey win a massive legal case. That victory wasn't luck. It was strategy, and it put Phil on her radar, setting the stage for his rise to TV fame. But long before the cameras, his personal life had already seen dramatic turns. He got married young at just 20 years old to Debbie Higgins McCall. The marriage didn't last. It ended in 1973. After 3 rocky years, Debbie later claimed the relationship was controlling and abusive. Phil said otherwise, but either way, it ended bitterly and fast.